street I grew up on, 2241. My grandfather bought the house in 1952. That's how long my family been in this neighborhood. Some of you guys are familiar. Know I'm one of the guys that helped start the gang zone. They existed before the neighborhood. Ended up going to prison. Served 9 years. I've been home 22 years. Just completed my PhD. My name is Dr. Some of you guys are familiar. We used to have what's called the Urban Network Bookstore. That was located on Grand River in McGraw, right around the corner. In that process, this house was given to us. It was pretty much abandoned. It should have been demolitions. We took it, we renovated it, and it coincided with the backpack we did every year. We'd be our 19th year. So within the context of, and we know where we're at in terms of poverty, Zone Lake, Linwood, Dexter, Van Dyke, Gratiot, the areas that's not being recognized as being left out of the conversations in Southwest Detroit. And so how do we include them in this conversation? So coming here is powerful in itself. A lot of us don't even come in these areas. We ain't look this way because the images that they put in our mind. Particularly in voting, what they tell us, this is unlike where people will tend to vote. Coming here and having this conversation is really impactful and powerful.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Wayno. From the east side of Harlem. I was talking to the brother over here, and we have some familiar grounds. I've been doing a lot of work in Detroit. I work in music. I've been doing a lot of work in Detroit, and over the past few years in music. But one of the reasons why I'm happy to be here is because for me, even when it comes to politics, it's a lot of stuff I don't know, and I'm not going to be shy about that. I'm one of the people that, even for myself, I want to know, like, how does my vote even count? You know what I mean? The common denominator of even me being here and being from where I'm from is a lot of the same issues that I have where I'm from are the same issues that's here. So we just wanted to, I wanted to be here along with my team and my crew and just have a dialogue with everybody about some of the things that we're feeling, that you're feeling, and how we can take these conversations and build and expound upon them and not let them just be here. Because what happens a lot is everybody get together, we talk, we leave, we forgot whatever happened, right? So how can we build things that can last a little bit longer, you know what I mean, and work with one another to have a common goal of just having a better day.
Use my platform, my voice. I believe that a lot of us, different organizations and people, they like entertainers here because our platforms and our voices are broad. But I just don't want to be an entertainer. I don't want to be called just an entertainer. I'm here to be a facilitator, like Waymo said, to learn from these great people and use my voice to help others. Use the information that I acquired to talk to people, that's in need of help and don't have the information that we have that we probably can have to help, give them an outlook on life, issues that we have, like you said, in our neighborhood is the same everywhere. We all take different routes, but we try to end up at the same destination. So I am here to use my voice and my platform to help in any way possible. Use it, just don't misuse it.
An amazing kid, I spent 25 years of my life in the system, never seen my father a day in my life. And just to be able to, yes man, let's deal with the real issue. Those are uncomfortable conversations we have to have, with the Europeans, the Asians, whatever, we have to have them. And we can't be ashamed or feel that we are saying something out of the way. Just keep it real, keep it simple, and bring it home. So I'm thankful to be here.
How y'all doing? Movement Builders, Mama Akua Center, and a bunch of other stuff. I got my political organizing start during the Obama campaign. At that time, I was very proud of myself and the work that I was doing, and I can say over the years I've grown and become a little salty toward political organizing and that kind of thing. I still believe in it, but I think we're missing the boat a lot because they're very reactionary and the community feels that. So how do we get my question would be, what is the process for getting us off this loop? Every election cycle, get the poor people to vote. Y'all gotta go do this. It's gonna be the worst thing ever in your life, when we know that it's not the case. And also, I don't hear a lot in some spaces that I'm in, not community builders, I always hear that all the time, but power. Like, we're not really teaching people in the community what it means to build power, how you use power, why power is essential. Is it because we're scared to use the word power, or is that even a thing? Like, I feel like I'm missing something. Like, what is it that I'm missing in my tool chest to really activate folks to, I don't want to knock on your door 3 months before the election and ask you to vote for Biden or Trump and have that conversation. I think by that time it's way too damn late. How do we begin to build power with everyday people to be able to impact the change that we need on a local, neighborhood, or whatever kind of way? So that's the conversations that I'm interested in really having and training people on. How do we fucking build real power?
Let me just say one thing. This actually is about understanding how power works in this country. And what politicians want to do is come to your church, come to whatever, every 4 years, quote Martin Luther King, say some shit about whatever, and then ask you to vote. And sometimes, like sheep, we do, without asking for anything on the other side of that. And outside of maybe a picture. And so what we need to start doing, though, is what she's talking about, is like really understanding. It's hard to access presidents, and people like that. But you can access your city council person, you can access your mayor, and those are the people that are going to impact you on a day-to-day basis. And so understanding what each of these people do is a start. School boards make decisions on whether you're gonna be taught certain types of things about African American history or Asian history or whatever, that sort of thing. The prosecutor that you elect makes the difference whether you're gonna go to jail or not. And so understanding that, and these are very, very low turnout races. Mm-hmm. And so the way to build power is to express it through voting, because when you become a bloc, they're gonna have to answer to you. So even in the presidential election, Joe Biden last time won it by 150,000 votes. I bet if you each organize 3 or 4 people in your community, that's 150,000 people plus. And now you're a voting bloc that they have to answer to. And so that's how, trying to understand how power works is like that. Once you become that bloc, they have to answer to you, and you can then collectively ask for things as well to come back into the community.
No, I had something, because even though I'm on the stage, like, I have questions too, right? And I really wanted to know, like, what the sister said about power. Like, how can we turn power into value? Because I feel like, when we talk about power, what is power? There's going to be people who misuse it as well, right? And with great power comes great responsibility, like in Spider-Man, right? But with that power, right? How can we get people to, once we attain that power, to see value? So, like you said, we're not just doing this a couple of months before the election. What about next year? What about the year after that? And before the next 2 that's gonna come, before we gotta do this again. So how do we take and gain that power, mobilize our people and all of that, but then turn that into value where that power exists on a day-to-day basis?
I mean, you should turn that over to also the audience. Like, y'all should be jumping in and
Go ahead, man. I think you wanted to say something. Yeah.
I would say the power and the structure starts at community. You can, in this block, elect somebody and stand behind that one person, and one person can't win it, because there's gonna be a city council of 15 or 20 votes. But if we vote in this community, and we collaborate with your community, and the 3 communities work together, now it's a voting block at City Hall. You see, it's a voting block. If you watch what's that thing in Chicago, Dalton, it's like the four trustees override everything the mayor does. Because there's 4 trustees who banded together, and they become a block, and they're stopping her from doing whatever they think she shouldn't be doing. Here, you have this section, you collaborate. It's not just, this is our guy, this is our team. It's a team approach. So whether it's the black vote, the Asian vote, the Spanish vote, you know what I'm saying, European, whatever it is, let's build a coalition of people, because when it gets downtown, your one representative will not win standing alone. It needs to be collective, and you have to come out of your community, out of your silo, and attend this same meeting and the other side of town. When the Spanish guys in the Southwest have a meeting, we need to go, and they need to be here. When there's a meeting down in Corktown, we need to go, and they need to be here. If you silo yourself, you lose. You ride it too far, and you will always lose.
Piggyback on everything you said, right? So piggyback on church change initiative, also post-record change. So piggyback on that, you mentioned time and time all the time to engage the community as a 365 every single day, talk on the block constantly, but also don't be afraid to put the constant pressure on somebody that you put in office. You have to keep, after you vote for them, fine, celebrate the way. All right, let them know I'm on your ass for the next 3 to 4 years. If you're doing your work, fine, you cool. But if you're not, then we gotta put somebody in there. You gotta be prepared as a community. Even if somebody that you like, they're not doing the job, you have a right to change the person that represents you. And that's, I think that's the problem that we have where, well, we gotta give him a chance. Oh, no, he's effing up. He gotta go. He answers to us as a community. We have to constantly keep that pressure on. Not just relaxing, but I think that's what we call that in our communities right now.
I think the biggest thing that I've noticed is when we talk about building power is to step away from individuals as a whole. And what I mean by that is when we do our canvases, and it's year round, we do a deep canvas. So I don't go out and talk to Norman about Joe Biden. I say, what's going on in your neighborhood, man? What's the issues that you're facing? And I think when we talk about, like we said, politicians coming to take the picture, it's already too far gone. We have to have our issues so tight that when somebody comes and they say, I'm running for this, you don't get to come talk to my members and my people unless you talk about our issue.
Right.
So if you think you about to run for something and you're not gonna speak for this issue, you about to have a long day at the office, bro. I think that's how it starts, because once I get the position, I can bullshit you. Then I can say, oh, well, we in the minority, or I voted, but the rest of the council didn't vote. No. Before you even go and you collect those signatures or you go pay that filing fee, all these people make their rounds and ask for stuff. I want to come and I want to address your group. You don't get to come and address our group. You get to come and answer our questions. My group talks about housing. My group talks about school lunches, or whatever your jam is. But if you won't set foot in our space, you don't dictate the term. Can't nobody come to your house and tell you what you gonna cook for dinner. You in my crib. And I think that prevents a lot of people from even elevating in certain roles, because I'm telling you off top, oh, you don't want to talk about that? That's cool, I'm giving you fits. Well, who you gonna pick? I don't know, but I know it ain't gonna be you.
Right.
Okay, so my name is T-Barb. I have a question. So I'm a local comedian. I do a lot of community stuff. I've done a lot of stuff, Mama Akua House. Actually just left out Cuba Line Village and did a political activity with the youth there that I mentor twice a week. I have a question about the major media. So I read a book called Culture is War, where it really describes how they use media images to really change people's minds about things. For instance, the book referenced an example with terrorism, how they marketed terrorism as Muslims by every time they talked about terrorism, they associated with the hijab. So they showed a head wrap or showed a Middle Eastern person, then they talked about terrorism. Or how they marketed crime as black by reporting 1,200 black crimes for every 100 white crimes, even though crime is pretty equal. Even though it's disproportionate for our population, crime happens in every area. Or how they marketed black on black crime, when crime happens white on white or Asian on Asian, because those are the people that they're around. So crime is usually committed within a certain municipality or area just because those areas are populated by that ethnicity. Right. But they turned it into a black on black, or turned crack cocaine into a crime, whereas now with opioids, because those people don't all look like us, now it's a mental health crisis. So it just talks about the marketing of different issues, right? And we know that we don't have access a lot of times to control main media. And I'm noticing that the media is covering things unbalanced, or they even reference the one the one time where we felt like one candidate won and they put another candidate in and people didn't question it when it came to the Al Gore presidential race. So my question would be, or thought would be, how do we combat major media, radio, TV, that we don't control, which is giving a false narrative? They're almost giving the narrative that one politician won. Oh, Trump won this, and we polled these people. Most people I ask, were you ever polled? Did anybody ask you? And most of the people I know say no, but they're feeding the narrative that this person won. Or when, let's say, Biden, I mean, regardless of who you're for, let's say he makes a mistake. They show that over and over, but when the other candidate makes a mistake, they don't show it over and over. They make it seem that way. So how do we combat those type of thoughts? Because the people showing up to the meetings, we may know the issue. You have control over that. But the masses, the people who are not here at these meetings, the people who are not reading, who are just simply getting their politics from TV, how do we combat that?
I think it's more than one thing, right? It's like, for one, for myself, I do media, but I do media with that covers hip hop, right? Now, if I talk about Kendrick Lamar and Drake, on my page, 2.7 million views, people,
Right.
27,000 comments, this is that and the third. But when I say something, or if I post something like this, or what we're doing, it'll get some engagement, but not the same, right? The internet has made people forget about actual people.
Right.
And I think that, like, you know, even me having this conversation, sitting here with brothers and sisters from different, you know, spaces, if I'm able to use my platform, you know what I mean, and get other people to use their platform, because I think it's a very, very thin line between, like, persistence and annoyance, right? Like, on one side, if you're persistent, like, and you're direct with it, everybody knows what you stand for. On another one, if I only say something every now and then, that becomes annoying because it looks like I'm doing it for a check.
Right.
You feel me? So it's like, I think that there's a fine line between using influence and just being, for myself, or even like a Beanie Siegel or other artists. I work with a few artists from Detroit, for them to use their platforms for what they actually care about and not wait till it's too late. But we have to use our platform.
I think the other thing too, my name is Shaq, I'm a part of the media as well. I think you gotta research your media outlets, like how you know, research your politicians and everything like that. You have to just look at the consistency of some of the outlets that you're following and looking like. I think at a certain point, like if you following a media outlet for a number of weeks or a number of months, I think at a certain point you can see some of the biasness that they may have. I think if you're following them for some weeks or a matter of months, you may see the impartial reporting as well. You know, nowadays though, thank goodness we're in the time, social media, it can be used for good and as well as bad, but you know, there's certain people on social media and certain outlets on social media that could really just give you the real, like even with the shooting the other day, like you saw like certain camera angles of the shooting, but when you go to social media, they have certain angles that may not have been on the news. So you have to just really researching like some of the people that have a history of fair and balanced, because I do, as a member of the media, I do feel like there are media outlets that are fair and balanced. You just have to kind of seek them. There's media outlets that actually speak to certain communities. There's, you know, I know at a certain point they was trying to do the black channel, which didn't get enough funding, but it was trying to speak to directly towards the black communities. I know there's Latino news outlets that's speaking to Latino brothers and sisters and to the Asian brothers and sisters as well. So it's really getting out there and actually doing your research too.
Excuse me, we want to take a moment because, you know,
Let's get Beans in real quick to talk about from an artist standpoint and shifting and that paradigm.
So just off of the question you said about the media and things that they paint, that's why we gotta hold our entertainers. We gotta hold them accountable for their platforms. Like you said, the main news and culture, we go straight to our phone. I don't know too many people who watch TV like that no more. So your phone is your media. So everybody that has a platform that can speak should speak. And we gotta hold them accountable for that. We just can't scroll through and just push pictures and likes, send them DMs.
Right.
On the spot. Hold them accountable for it. And I think if we do that, then we'll have the information. Like you said.
Yeah, let me just add just one real quick thing to that, sorry. I think we need to get outside of the context of the media because, you know, it is all over the place. I mean, if you turn on like Fox News at 8 o'clock and MSNBC, they're on two different fucking planets. Like you wouldn't even know what planet you're on. And even like each little thing, you could get, the algorithms will drive you in a particular way, you'll get fed a particular thing. But what's powerful is the culture. And black and brown people, especially black people, define and drive the culture. So tapping into the culture, I think, is where there's real power. And so using artists, using you know, rappers, other types of artists, that sort of thing to drive the narrative, to me is very powerful and can also help change some of the dynamics.
How y'all doing? Ajane Evans, Detroit precinct delegate. You know, one thing we're not talking about that happens commonly in politics and with media, and I've seen this more so after the Big Hope campaign and the Big Hope movement of Barack Obama. It's about emotions. Like, it's so much emotions that's being played with, and the media does it to, like, finally to a T. But politics a lot of times does it very well. And really the thing is, you got this big surge, because me myself personally, I've been involved in politics much before Barack Obama ran for president. A lot of people, that was their introduction, which was really exciting. A lot of people, you know, that was their introduction. Wow, we got some hope. We got somebody we really can believe in. And then it didn't happen. Like, nothing changed. Like, matter of fact, it might have got worse. So when you put all of this energy, this emotion into, wow, we got this big change of the guard, we got our first black president, everything's gonna become different, and it didn't. And then you have the folks who came into the process at that time. I heard a sister here speak to it. She got in the process at that time, and then as she started to get more involved, she saw how dirty and how ugly it really is. When you start to understand a lot of these things that politicians push on us, they're playing on your emotions.
Right.
You know, whether it's this guy is the devil, this guy is gonna save us. You don't know the difference between either one of these people personally. You gotta understand the policies and how they tie back into your community. I mean, I'm hearing this conversation, we're talking about the national, the national candidates like presidents, but then you have Congress members who are also on a national level. You have senators who are also on a national level who have to actually live in the community that they serve. You come down to even smaller portion, you have state legislators. You also have city legislators like council members. And again, a lot of these people have to live in the district that they're serving. Where you want to make the actual change and start to connect the actual power, it really starts at those smaller levels, at that local level. So when you kind of organize as a community group, and then you start to bring those issues to the local legislators, you can really start to see more change and see who stands for what and who doesn't. Right. You know, I came up in a time where you actually had to come to the meetings and actually go to those people to find out where they stand on things. I think it's kind of dangerous to keep going through these phones and relying on the internet for like a person's real stands on things. You know, you have the opportunity to send letters to these folks, to request meetings with these folks, especially those that are on the local level. And as the brother said earlier, if they're not responding, if they're not connecting with you, we vote them out.
That's right.
But you know, really we got to understand the emotional level that people get played with in politics and in media. And then when you intersect something like entertainment, which automatically it connects to your emotions, right? You listen to music, you feel a way. You feel excited, you feel sad, you feel, you have different emotions that are tied. So what we got to be able to do is, one, look at people for the position that they're holding, whether that's an entertainer, whether that's an elected official, somebody in politics, and take the emotion out of well, they said this about you, or they said this. Let's get to what concerns we really have and where those people really stand. Right. It's a lot of confusion, and I think it has to do with the emotion, and that's where I think both parties are really in a lot of trouble right now, because for the first time ever, right, the Democratic Party is trying to find out, how do we get back black people? How do we win them back over? And the Republicans are saying, wow, we got black people coming to support us. So, again, I think when we start, this is the really first time this is going on as big as it is. And you couldn't have, you got two people running on a national level that are close to 80 years old. So that's, that's a whole nother concern. But when you look locally, like right now, everybody here knows we got an election that's here 3 weeks from now, from today, August 6th. We have a primary election, where we'll get to decide who our state reps are, who our commissioners are. These are people that make change on a local level, things that like our roads, like our schools, like our mental health issues, senior and youth services. While we're concerned about this bigger picture, we really need to connect on that lower level and again, remove the emotion from so much of it. It's my opinion.
I just want to say, I think we're talking a lot about narrative, and I think it goes really back to accountability. Because usually the narrative is started by somebody saying something. People see the reaction, and then be like, oh, that's a safe statement to make. So now everybody kind of jumps on the bandwagon. But that accountability portion really comes into, again, we're all in groups that deal with elections and things like that. And our accountability can't just be you cast a bad vote, because we know where people are influenced. I gotta go to him and go, Councilman, I saw that bullshit you posted. You know it's bullshit. I don't appreciate it. So we gonna make it right. You got your pass this time. They have to be thinking about you in all their actions. Because I can get on Facebook, I can get on X, and I can just kind of fire something off. But if nobody's giving me pushback, shit, I'm good. It's just like it's just like your kids. Until you stop me from eating these cookies, I'm eating the two. Right? So until you get that pushback, and that pushback comes with that narrative. So if you coming out here and I see you pushing a bullshit narrative because you think it's safe, it ain't safe, Doc.
My name is Mark Bias. Here with my good brother Nate, and when it comes to the media, what I can tell you, me and Nate have sat through maybe 3 to 4 different sessions of this nature with Al Jazeera, ABC News, CBS News, and you can give the most positive message that you can come up with, and they're going to doctor it up and give you a 30-second sound bite, and you have no control over that. So that's the thing with media.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I want to make sure, because generally when we have these sessions, it's the same people in the room. And I think it's the same people in the room because we're missing one major component, education. What we found out in Pontiac, I'm from Pontiac, we found out it's a lot of people struggling to read. So no matter what comes into that house, in the form of educational pieces or whatever it is, informing the people of the vote or whatever it is going to the trash because they cannot read it. So we got to find a way to combat this because we have a promise zone in Pontiac that parents aren't even putting their kids into college because they can't read the documents to put forth them to get them into college for free. So education is key to us changing our block vote because you're not gonna get them on board because they're embarrassed they can't read. They don't. I appreciate this brother saying I don't know much about politics. We fear what we don't understand. Right. So a lot of people fear because they don't understand it. They don't want to look stupid. They think you're gonna look down on them. You should know this already. So those that know, we gotta do.
That's right.
We gotta do because it's a lot of people depending on us more than they depending on these candidates.
That's right. I wanted to touch on something before we get. So I agree with you. So my grandparents went to prison, my parents went to prison. We was the first generation to break it, and my son has just got full ride scholarship. Thank you. And, he's going to a thing called Up Close. Anybody ever heard of that? Up Close? Okay. So he was selected from Renaissance High School to go there, and it's a political thing for kids 16 to 18 from Stanford University. They're flying them to Washington, D.C. And at first we weren't going to do it, but I thought it was very important for him to represent our needs in this community because they try to get a diverse group of kids, and a lot of times we're not being represented. Right. I think another thing that goes amiss is the kids. A lot of times we're trying to change adults' mind that have already believe reality TV, and it trips me out how much I'm a comedian, I do skits, and people believe it sometimes, and I'm like, I told you it was a skit, so how do you still believe it? I mean, I know I can act, but you know, it still don't make any sense. So I think that another thing that we're missing it, Just like I was just talking to these kids, I had them make up their own political party, tell me what it would be called, tell me what platform they would want. I kept hearing them say stuff about safety and police brutality, right? Over and over. I wish we had more metal detectors. These are kids, and they don't understand that they're coming up with a platform that means a lot to them. To us, it may be education, which education is definitely important. I'm not saying that.
Absolutely.
But to us, it may be money and economics. I'm hearing these kids say they don't even feel safe with the police, at school, at home. So I was telling them that these are the concerns you need to bring up. And I think it's important for us, like someone was saying before the 3 months, we have to start with these kids. We have to start at 16, 17, 18 because they're just being able to vote. And a lot of times in school, they're not getting that history of what it took for us to be able to vote. They're not getting the history that women couldn't vote. They're not getting the history that black people couldn't vote. They're getting it sugar coated. So in order for them to understand the importance of their voice, they have to know. We're not going home and talking to our kids. My son can't wait to vote. You know why? Because I used to take him with me to vote and talk to him about his power there. So we really want to change the guard. I'm not saying it's too late. I'm not saying that. For some people, it really is, though, because they already have their mind made up. And sometimes our egos won't even let us say that we're wrong after we've been saying or doing something wrong. But we have an opportunity with the youth to say, hey, you're 18, 19, 20, you can vote. And if we get you out in droves, just like with Obama, I was in college then. And my college, I was at an HBCU, they took us in a bus and took us. It was intentional with saying, hey, y'all just turned 18, we need y'all to get up and vote. And I think that we need to start telling these kids that and also letting them know that the president is really not always the biggest one. It's the Congress and the Senate. And most people don't know who their congressperson is. Most people don't even know their name. When we go look, we check the box that we see the commercials of all the time. We don't even know what they do. We know what Biden and Trump said, but do we know that we can't? Biden and Trump can make all the promises they want, but if the Senate and the Congress does not vote yes for it, it does not make a difference. So we're not even telling the kids about the 3 branches of government. All they know is the president and what they see on TV. So I think if we start to talk to our kids, even your grandkids, I know they 10, 11 years old. I remember stuff that my grandmother told me before she passed, and it stuck with me to this day. So sometimes you plant the seed. The day that you plant the seed is not the day that you eat the fruit. So we have to start not only working now, but we have to be proactive and start working with our next generation.
Jermaine, yes, educator. I just want to know, how do we collectively curate a message or things that we want to push for our community? You know how you go live and everybody gets it? You know, maybe something like that, using the media platforms that we know are positive and represent the same things that we represent, and actually doing these things at once so that it makes a huge impact.
My name is Hakeem. There's so many issues that all of us are speaking to, and I want to speak to too. And right about what you last said, I think that what's important for us to talk about is the fact that we ain't unified. The fact that we don't have a collective, common black agenda or minority agenda or oppressed people agenda, but we don't have a real collective agenda that speaks to all of our issues together, where we can then move that power. We've been hearing all this Agenda 2025. These Republicans came together and put together a 900-page book espousing their policies at every level, political, economical, educational, social, every level we can think of. They've developed a common agenda that they agree upon. And they might not fully all the way agree on all those issues. Some of the issues may be left out. We got to start thinking on that level as well, that all of our issues ain't going to be left out. But those issues we can agree upon, let's build power on that and use that power to move that power in communities, because we know the Democrats or the Republicans, they're not representing our issues. We talking about keeping it real. They not speaking for us. They not representing our, we not priorities for them. When the COVID hit, we seen they stopped the world for something they consider to be a priority. But we know that our loss, our death, our suffering, our misery is a priority for us. Our trauma and our communities are a priority. But they never elevated to a priority. So until we elevate the things to a priority in our communities, in our households, in our lives, we're gonna always be secondary agendas. We're gonna always be somebody on the second line, second class citizen, or whatever we call ourselves, or wherever we find ourselves positioned at. So I just want to speak on. I got a lot of other thoughts as well too, but I just want to put that out there.
Maybe backing up, I talked about earlier. Next year is election year, local election year. Some of us thought about it, some of us don't even know what the fuck is going to happen. And we're so behind. There's the rumor Duggan's going up, run off to be the whatever the fuck he's gonna be. But it's chaos. You know, some of the names that we throw names. There's Mary Sheffield. There's other folks. I'm like, ugh. There's been a breakdown on a community, on a local level, who we can even trust. But there's not even a base of us have organized it and gotten this conversation, which should have been 10 years ago. Maybe 20 years ago. So part of this is building that right now, where again, to the T-Bar point, the future, which is our children and our children's children, we set the foundation right and being able to connect the dots.
My name is Marquise Williams, film director, cinematographer, film director of Color Chaos Productions. That's my own production company. I wasn't going to say nothing because I don't really like speaking at all, but like hearing y'all questions and concerns, I feel like y'all are speaking to me, and I'm youth. You feel what I'm saying? I'm only 21. And I know I hear a lot of questions about what y'all saying, like the power at, you know what I mean? And me being a cameraman, I deal with fashion designers, artists who got this power. You feel what I'm saying? And I wouldn't even come to Detroit. When he said, when he's coming here for a season to wear politics, I'm like, bro, I don't want to come. But, you know, it's important for me to be here because of the people who I work with, the fashion designers who, that's the biggest thing. Everybody like the nice clothes, so it just got me thinking, like, how can I go home and tell my friends as fashion designers, how can we put a message on the shirt without putting it in their face? You know what I'm saying? Without saying, hey, go vote, or having the picture just, that's symbolizing what I was saying, you feel what I'm saying? And having the artists that I work with, the rappers that I work with that got the most influence in my city that can turn somebody's dead name to an anthem in the city. You feel what I'm saying? And how can we say like, yo, how can we put a voting lyric or something in one of y'all bars and make it hard? And everybody unconsciously rapping it and unconsciously start voting. You feel what I'm saying? Without really putting it in that face. So this hand, y'all just got me thinking, how can I, you feel what I'm saying? Like, all these ideas, y'all trying to figure out how to get us involved with. You feel me? It just got me thinking a little bit. How can I, you feel me? Like,
accountability, I keep going back to it. Because another part of that accountability is we are led by people, I don't want to say led, people in power are just old as hell. Let's just keep it a fuck. And I think part of that accountability is, I keep picking on my brother, I done made him elected 4 times. That's all right. But hey, you are great on our issues. And we want to keep you in office. But guess what our next thing with you is too? I want you to pick who got next. You gotta start grooming this brother. Now that's who we agree gonna be next. You gotta start. That's part of your accountability to me. Because you gotta know in your head you're not gonna die in this position. You gotta know in your head that we've already made the agreement, that we've already started grooming and getting somebody ready. Because this is a young, smart brother who's ready to do something, but he don't know the steps. Right. So when you go into a room and you got him with you, and you talk to a labor union. You go talk to a big-time person who contributes to campaigns. They need to know in their head already, he's perfect on our issue, because I'm teaching him. Come sit at this table and come learn. That's it.
Right. So, we got 10 minutes left. And I want to kind of shift and bring you in. And my current policy said we want to keep it authentic, right? So let's dress them up. For me, let's dress them up in the room. I mean, who are Detroit your first time being here? First time being here in the Mama Akua House, those who are in Detroit. So, and I bring that up in terms of we should be very grateful for the Victory Fund and what they've done to organize this, but in reality, they're going to be gone tomorrow. We still going to be here. So let's start shifting the conversation, particularly those of us know each other, those who don't know each other. How do we stay connected? And who else do we need to bring into this? Because again, there's always going to be election. But the problem that we face.
That bread, I told him, I said, well, now your mama's rent is 2 or 3 times what it was when she got that bread. Are y'all in a better position or a worse position? Them kids really got quiet.
Right.
Because in their mind, they got Peasy or whoever, and I'm not trying to call out no names per se, but these is who I saw with the president, and he said, yo, that money was out, that cash was out, because he know that's what the kids are listening to.
Right.
So we also need those people that counteract that, because to older people, that's dumb, that's stupid, but to the young people, it's, oh, that's big Gretch, now she got the buff song. They don't know nothing about her platform.
Right.
I've worked with her several times. They don't know the platform, but they know that this person endorsed that, and that's what makes them cool. So sometimes you do have to stop thinking as that Al Green and start thinking like Kendrick. You know what I mean? Y'all gotta come down on it.
So part of what I said to you guys is also expanding that. Again, we know Detroit is a predominantly black city. We know Southwest is predominantly brown. And we know other folks within the city as well. So how do we build this BIPOC coalition?
A lot of times we got our egos or some organizers against each other. Everybody got their one spot. Everybody gets spot. I'm canvassing over here with this group, canvassing over there. This is probably the perfect opportunity that we got to do a lot of layering projects. A lot of layering projects. Meaning that you have a project going on here and incorporate all these groups over here with nonprofit organizations over here. If you're doing something out with outreach in the community, hey, let's grab this other nonprofit out here. We gotta be able to think outside the box. We gotta think about little league teams, organizations, because guess what? There are 501c3 nonprofits. People are not at the church, they at those little league games. You go to the little league game at 6 o'clock in the morning, there's 2,000 people out there that who know about voting, but they're apathetic, they know what's going on in the community, but they're volunteering for their kids. So they're already activized, ready to go. We have to be able to layer them and say, hey, can I come up with you knowing to go about the same amount of something? Hey, come on, y'all come, because I can't do it by myself. No, I want to. And on your part, we got to really understand about leadership is this. It's never meant for you to see your dream. You got to be comfortable understanding that, number one, I may not die not seeing reparations. But my sons and my sons' sons will get the day to get the reparations. And so a lot of times they'll let the leaders, man, they get in the selfishness and power say, only I can do it alone. And that's the point where we talked about here as a community, we had to go to our leaders and say, hey, great job. You gotta get the fuck out.
Man.
Real talk. You gotta get the hell on. Great job. Hey, love you. Great job. But right now, hey bro, I support you, bro, next in line. And that's how we gotta treat it like that.
And that's a great point, but again, getting back to the essential, that universal problem, it goes beyond Zone 8, West Side, East Side, Black, Brown community. So again, what does it look like in terms of us building across different barriers of pulling folks in? I'm gonna go there, brother.
I'm Ronnie Kelly. I'm from Dilla World, Yancey Foundation, Dilla Family, the youth outreach we do. We work with T-Bob and a few of the people in this room. But what I think we need to do is we need to find the young people like him and find other young people that are interested in being a part of the solution and start promoting places like this, because I never knew about this place until today. So if we start promoting these, let's call them safe houses or places in the community where the kids that are into the social issues and want to make a difference, we start promoting these places like we promote here. We promote in Keegan Village. We promote Avalon Village. And anybody else that has something going on, we find out what they got going on and we promote all those particular places. I'm talking about give them real promotion so the whole city knows if you're into this and you want to make a difference, you go to these places. And we share literature with each other, and that's how we all become familiar with each other.
We gotta have the consistency too. I'm just saying, like, talk about Detroit being a black city, and I can't really speak about too many other cultures. I can speak about the black culture. That one of the things that we lack is just the consistency. Like, when certain things happen, we get galvanized, and then it dies down, and then we wait till another incident happens. We gotta keep having these dialogues and having these meetings and not be afraid to build with each other. Like we go into the black community and sometimes you might might even just give a person a head nod and just keep it moving, but we don't really get a chance to sit down and speak. And you know, like my brother was saying, is that a lot of other people, they all unify with their agendas. Like we need to come together consistently and just know that it's not just one conversation or one meeting. We got to have a series of these ongoing past the election.
Yeah, if I could just jump in, y'all, just to go back to this question, like how do we really build a coalition, okay? And just to be very honest, and this is like a safe space, but even as us as an organization that works with the Asian immigrant community, it is damn hard getting them here. I mean, I think there's like, we can count how many are here, right? And just to name is like, a lot of us, we don't get along, right? Either they stay at home or they stay where they're familiar and they stay in their community centers, but it's hard to actually make this like a real thing. So I wanted just to put that out to y'all, like how do we actually build the right coalition when really it doesn't really happen in real life.
So y'all guys looking for like, we can set up a table.
There you go.
A table.
We're proposing it, yeah, and again, it's building, again, they're gonna leave. We know this, right? We know that being able to connect the dots in black communities, incarceration, and immigration is being deported. It's the same shit. In the grand scheme of things. So how do we universally see that and connect the dots? And again, those of us who grew up in Detroit, I mean, never really went to Southwest. You know, being able to remove those borders, but we all elected the same motherfuckers. We misrepresent as a common denominator.
I think when you talk about an alignment table, I think it's a couple of things you gotta remember too. Is we're gonna have, so I'm random numbers. We got this alignment table and we got 15 groups represented. And they're represented by all these smart people. And I don't give a shit about what none of them think. I'm gonna say, what is your community telling you? What are the people you serve telling you? So we might be at that table and my jam might be like, I wanna help form the incarcerated people. But at the moment, the communities are talking about rents. So my jam gotta take a back seat right now. And this table's focus is gonna be rents. And what's our solution gonna be?
Because you're talking about, let's name it, he's talking about values. A value that matters over what individual interests, individual life.
Exactly. And my thing is, we can get to mine when we get down that list. Because we're going to talk to these people, we're going to find this issue, and we're going to all go and we're going to attack it together. And we got to make sure, whatever happens with that, to your point, it's some people here, we work with other people who just don't like us. And I can go, you know what? You need to go have that meeting. Because old dude just don't fuck with me. I don't know why. But are we getting what we need done? Yeah. And that table has to consist of people who are actually talking to the community. I don't care if you're smart, I don't care if you're rich. Just because you're sitting there because I'm the man, because I said I'm the man. No, man, how many people did your organization talk to? We talked to 300 people and they said this. My org talked to 500 and they said this. And our collective number said we need to go talk about this rent. Well, I don't really do rent. Well, you're going to learn from this table today and we all going to go do rent.
So before we don't need to fight no more. We can let our guard down, unfortunately.
Right. This just was an idea and a quick solution I came up with, really listening to the young fella. Y'all decided to put a coalition together, right? Just make sure y'all go get somebody actually from these neighborhoods. You feel me? Go get, you got cut that city up. I don't care if it's district, I don't care how we divide it. But make sure y'all also go get one adult, but make sure y'all get one youth from every neighborhood. Somebody that's really tapped in that the neighborhood really know. And then y'all will be able to get to hear from a lot of the young people and a lot of the people that's really from that spot. We bring them together to one table, one building, like everybody signed in, everybody email, number on there. We started here. Everybody bring one. Bring one from your neighborhood. Boom, this our representative. He gonna speak for the neighborhood. And then they host meetings in their neighborhood to discuss the issues. But make sure y'all get people really from the block, right from the neighborhood. I deal with my neighborhood on a daily. And if you listen to the youth, they got something to say. That's it.
All right. Since we do Asian American advocacy here in the state, and so just listening to everyone and like hearing about like, I think it was T who said earlier, like history is not taught, and like our kids are not learning history in the school. So like one of the campaigns that Rising Voices, in partnership with Senator Stephanie Chang and State Senator Erica Geis trying to do is like we're trying to teach inclusive history in our schools. Like we're trying to get a bill together to teach Asian American history, Black history, Latinx history, Arab American history, Jewish history in our schools. And you know we're getting this campaign off the ground. So like if you guys are interested in doing that, and like at the state level, I think this is something that we can, all of our communities can come together and work with each other on and trying to advocate for this, because it's so important for kids to see themselves reflected in the textbooks. And because, you know, they need to learn about the history of Asian Americans and Black Americans here, like Grace Lee Boggs and everybody here. So yeah, you know, like our community do have a shared struggle, but because, you know, racism and segregation has kept us apart.
Right.
So I think if we're all learning the same history in schools, I think we can find some commonality and then work together to find solutions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, back in Baltimore, we got a saying say that a useless movement is a useless movement, and a toothless movement, because there's no bite in there without our youth, and we know that our youth is our future. You want to know what the future look like, look in the eyes of a youth. And so, with that being said, that whole collaborative piece, that's one of the things we wrestle with down in Baltimore, it's like everybody is trying to get people to get together, especially on the collaborative. But what if I don't really get along with you? Why are you trying to force me to get along with you? And the thing is that when it comes down to my city, you know, there's a brother here by the name of Zeke. He came down to Baltimore last week, right? Love the brother.
Yeah.
When he came in my city, he came to my program, and I took him to the hottest spots in my city, where all the killings, the shootings, you know, and it was a big deal to me to connect with a real man that's gonna stand up and do what he gotta do for his community. I lost my son to the streets of violence. I had to go on the scene and see a hole in my son's head because I messed up as a father, and I got it right with him. Because I told God, if you ever give me another child, I'm gonna figure it out.
Amen.
Even after spending 25 years of my life in prison. So what I'm saying is that we hold our councilmen responsible in our community. Like when something go down in our community, I go to the councilman and say, look, bro, this is what you gotta do. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you this is what you gotta do. The same way he come to me around election time, hey, can you get these peoples together? You know what I mean? To vote, you know, to get me back in, and we got them back in. But the thing is that, who y'all councilmen in this district? Do y'all go by district?
Yeah, we do.
Would do community collab around that? Like get together and like really force them to speak to y'all issues? Yes. I don't know.
Yes.
I mean, isn't that the starting point? We talking about?
That's a conversation over drinks.
Okay.
Let's go, Billy.
Just want to end it off. I had a lot of the comments and things. One of the things that was powerful, that was an example from what I said earlier.
Yes, that's right.
That was one of the most powerful statements. I had a lot that, what if I don't get along with this one? What if I don't get along with this one? I don't have to like if we got a common, a common goal or interest. We all, just with our group, Black, Asian, Latino, we all want to travel different roads and think our route is the best route. But it all leads to one destination.
Yes.
One destination. I don't got like you, but we got a common goal that we got. That issue is bigger than any personal thing that you can hold. Especially when you got youth that's telling you, you don't even care about politics or what's going on. He's sitting here and he's getting information and he feels as though he got something to do. He want to do something. We can't discourage them with our petty personal stuff.
That's right.
Yep. Respect that. No, I mean, Nick and I, we just wanted to thank y'all again. Like, we're coming to a close, but this is, it's going to be hard conversations. We have to figure it out. We don't have time left to not figure it out. But I mean, with what Pena was saying, I mean, this was like the exact space that we were hoping for, that we have young people feeling safe. You just gotta feel safe to be part of this with us. So I just wanted to thank y'all again.
Yeah, and I'll just add one other thing we didn't get to, but I think is critical, is the resource question. You know, one of the reasons we're so divided is because they're drizzling crumbs on us. And we have to hold on to that to be able to work with this community or that community, and that's the problem. So one thing that we want to try to do, we're not leaving. We want to help support this community and build the coalition, and we can go speak to the funders that we know nationally and others to talk about this conversation, bring it to them, and try to bring actual resources in so that you all can do your work. And that's what we want to try to do and help support.
So in closing, it's to build a coalition is to build across different issues. But what's the center part of issues? It's people. And so unfortunately, a lot of us drum beating the issue, but forget about the fucking people. If anybody know me, I call it like it is. That's just how my mama raised me, and that's just how I'm gonna be until the day I die. And in reality, we can't keep trying to organize around who gonna fill our pockets. You can't keep working around resources. You can't do shit without resources. But if our organizers dictated by who gonna pay us versus who we gonna serve, we already fucking failed. We've already exploited the people that we're working with. So that's why it's important to be able to sit at the table and build across different lines. Because in reality, we're strong in our community, we're stronger across the city. I'll share with you this with us, because a lot of the time we want to say, I want to fuck with like-minded people. That thought is out fucking dated to me. Why is it outdated? Because you might say, I like what that nigga said today and don't like me tomorrow. And it happens every fucking day to us because we're too busy fucking around on personalities. We're not centered on values. Let's unite with like-value people, not like-minded people. Because if the values control and determine the personality, then we'll get what we need to get. Because it's bigger than the individual. It's about the collective. Because let's be honest, a lot of people in this city who do a lot of fuck shit.
Right.
Who do a lot of fuck shit. And Mike Duggan is a fuck motherfucker, and they fucking with him like that.
Right.
And you look at it like, God damn, you say you for the people? All right. But as individual, I say, like you said, that's just you said being you said. And it's not, a lot of us think that, but if we don't have a base to be able to organize, like I said, this next election, it's fucking serious business, not on the national level, on the city level. So anybody who really gravitates, let's continue this conversation. We got your emails, we reach out. Anybody want to host something here, let's do it. You open do it. We got the yard outside, let's make it happen. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us.
August 30th, our annual basketball event.